Everybody, let me get my desk put back together here. Getting all ready here for oops, I'm gonna throw my ink around too. All right, let me go really quick here and find it on my, oh, there we go. I found it. How's everyone doing today? Hope everyone's having a great week. Give it a minute here too for everyone to catch up on here. I was actually a minute late, so sorry about that. Hang out here and wait for someone to join in here. Sometimes it's a little slow to... Ah, there we go. Now I see people on there. Hi, Natalie. You say your name Natalie, or is it Nathal? Nathalie. Just Natalie, right? I think that's correct. Hello, Teresa. All right. I'm just going to kind of hang out here for a minute and sip my afternoon iced tea. Just thought I had a hair on my shoulder, but it was on my iPad screen. Natalie. Okay. I thought that's how it was. I just wanted to make sure I was saying it right. Hi, Natalie. Hi, Jennifer from California. Got a few people joining in. Enjoying this warmer, springy, summery. And we've got like kind of the cloudy, overcast day today, but it's still nice and warm. Hi, Greta from Oregon. Welcome. Glad y'all could join. Oh, you know what? There we go. Turn the volume off on my phone so that if my phone rings, it doesn't get super loud and drown me out. I think before that caused some issues. All right, so we got a couple people on here. I'm going to give you a little peek here at what we're making today. Once again, I mentioned this on last week on our Thursday Facebook Live. Good afternoon, Kathy. That instead of using the newest release, we were completely blown away by how quickly it all sold out. It's all either sold out or mostly sold out. We're working to restock as quick as possible. That all kind of depends on suppliers. But instead of using some of the newest release and then having everyone go, oh, I want to go get that, and then going over and finding it's out of stock, that's always a little bit frustrating. So we're kind of throwing back to some older sets here last week and then again this week too. So just there's so many beautiful sets from past releases that are so fun to use, and sometimes it's just kind of neat to go back and check those out again. So I kind of have a fun technique we're going to do today. Here is the card we're using, and I don't know, I think I lost my, let me see there. Okay, maybe not. Every now and then I lose my updating on the comments there. All right, so here's the card we're going to make. And it's kind of a fun technique I played with a little bit last night. And it uses this beautiful set called Delicate Wreath. It's just a pretty wreath, and I love that it's kind of a solid, but still a really dainty floral. It's just kind of fun when you can have something that's solid and dainty at the same time. And it's really fun to heat emboss, to ink blend with, to do watercoloring, all kinds of different things. But what I thought would be fun to do with this one, and I don't know if it shows up super well in here, it was kind of hard to get it fully in the photograph. I'm hoping you can see a little bit. But I did some variegated stamping is what I called it. Not that there's really a name for it. But I'm using, let me set this down for a minute, 3 different colors. Not even from the same color family, but 3 different colors of our dye inks. I'm going to try and maybe do a second color combo today for fun too. But using a MISTI or stamp positioner, kind of inking it up a few different times, and then just kind of pulling some of the color off. I'll show you what I mean, but you end up, instead of just with one solid color image, you get a little bit of variation in the wreath, which is kind of a fun and different design. Let's see. Hello, Teresa. Hello, Maureen. Hello, Patricia. Thanks for joining us. Yay, Greta. That means it's one you can go play with too. That's so fun. All right. So I think we've got a few people on here. We're a little earlier. Last week we did it an hour later. We're kind of fluctuating between what time works for my schedule and Leah's schedule. Still waiting for her to pop in here. Haven't seen that yet. If you haven't joined us before, I recognize a lot of these faces, but if you haven't, remember the comments, and then if you share, leave a comment letting us know that you shared this as well. And one is an entry for a $15 gift card at the end of the live as well. Oh, and Leah said she scheduled the email wrong. So we'll just kind of slowly work our way into this. We're not in any big rush today. And I'm going to make a couple variations of the colors. My plan, I'm going to do one just like my sample card. And then I'm going to play with another color combo. I haven't tested it yet, so I have no idea how it'll turn out, but it'll be kind of fun. Yay, Amber, welcome. Glad. Yes, Kathy, I know a lot of people, I think it's just a YouTube problem. I'm really literally about 1.5 feet away from my cell phone, and I'm talking as loud as I can. So sometimes earbuds work better. Some people say that too. So feel free to do what you need to hear, and I'll try and talk as nice and loud and clear as I can to keep us going. So, all right, so we might have some people join in a little bit later. Hi, Barbara, welcome. And I'm just gonna go ahead and flip the camera around here, and we'll go ahead and get this started a little and see what we can get going on. I just feel like this is the clunky part of the whole live, so kind of apologize in advance for that fact. But I haven't really found a way to make that perfect yet. All right, nope, that's too far. All right, we'll go with that. All right, let's see how that works. Hi, Connie. Welcome, glad you could join us today. All right, I forgot to mention on there too, I'm using our stitched rectangles on that background. And then I'm also putting some of our sparkly jewels on here. I always have to think about that one so I don't say it, because there's the crystals and the jewels. One of these days I'm going to write it on the side here so I remember. But the jewels have the little bit, I don't know if you can kind of see on there, the little bit of a bumpier, they're sort of flat on one side, and then they're a little bit, I did it again, didn't I? It's crystals. Ah, okay. Leah catches me every time, and I sit and think about it, and I think I've got it right. And for some reason, those two names just, it's like my own little form of dyslexia with those two names. So they are crystals, 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 crystals. I'm going to get that in my brain. These are the crystals that have the pointy tip on them a little bit. So you kind of want to either hand deliver them or pop them with a little padding in the envelope if you're going to mail them. But these also work really good for shakers. I love the sparkle on them. So I figure it's worth it to either hand deliver or just mail them, maybe in a padded envelope, or if you're sending a package maybe to somebody special, then and you're including a card, then that's a good time to do it too. All right, hi Jackie, glad you could join us. All right, so the first color combo here I'm using is going to be these three colors, which is our Lemon Whip, Apricot, and Coral Reef. And I honestly, these are three of my very favorite colors of all of our dye inks. So it was kind of fun to combine them together. And I don't know if you can see a little better kind of the variegation in the stamping. So let's go ahead and get started. And yeah, Teresa, so those would be the jewels, the smooth rounded ones with the iridescent finish and the solid back. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of set these off to the side here real quick. I'm gonna pull our Misty out and get this main wreath image. To save a little bit of time and get a head start, I went ahead and die cut my stitched rectangles because I thought it would be fun again to do two different color combos today. So I wanted to spend a little more time on the stamping and not worry so much about the die cutting. So you can see just how big and beautiful this wreath is, and it's the perfect perfect size for just a focal point on a card like this. I love that about it. So I'm just going to kind of center it on there where we want it. Hi from Hawaii. Yay, my brother and his family live over there, and we can't wait till things settle down again and we can go visit. All right. So one thing you're going to want for this technique. So first off, I'm going to stamp it with the lightest shade that I'm using. So in this case, I think the lightest shade is this Lemon Whip. So I'm just going to ink this up and stamp it over on my white cardstock. And this is going to be the base layer for the wreath. And already, I mean, that's super fun already, right? But this is where it's going to step up the fun a little bit. So I tried this with a dry paper towel, and I tried it with just a damp, like a baby wipe. And I found that this worked best with a baby wipe. So I'm quickly cleaning in between Then I'm going to ink this up. I'm going to make sure that dries a little bit. And I'm going to ink it up next with my apricot ink. And I'm not worried about perfect coverage on this layer, although I probably got it there. Now I'm going to grab this same baby white. I'm going to kind of crumple it up a little and just kind of dab over so I'm taking a good bit of the color off. So there's still some color kind of splotchy. I didn't do it evenly over. So now when I do this over the top, look at instantly the depth you get in the color there just by doing that. Now I'm going to clean off that little bit of extra and come in with our next deepest shade, which on this one is the Coral Reef. And one thing I should just mention here as you're looking at this, it might look a little like the colors are kind of blotchy. That's a property of dye inks. When you first stamp them, a lot of times they can kind of look like they're a bit blotchy. That's just because those are going to dye the paper. So it takes a few minutes for them to sink in to the paper and dye it. And they're going to smooth off and they're going to soften up a little bit. So by doing these all in a row, they're going to blend together a little smoother as well. So when you first look at this, it looks really deep and you can kind of see the color differences fairly clearly, but see what a great dimensional look that is. But once this dries, that color is going to soften out a little and also smooth out a little bit. So these are the exact same colors on both of these, but it's a little bit of a different, just something to realize when you're working with dye inks, that's quite normal and that it will smooth off and look a little smoother. Because sometimes you look at it and think, oh, that just doesn't look like I want it to. Give it a few minutes, just kind of set it aside and let it dry, and you'll find that it kind of softens out to what you want it to look like. All right, so those three colors were Lemon Whip, Apricot, and Coral Reef. And I just pulled out another random selection of colors. I have no idea what they look like, but we're gonna go ahead and stamp out another color combo and just see what it comes out to. So these are the colors I pulled out. Lavender, Slumber, and Fresh Pear. So a green, a blue, and a purple. I just thought those colors go really well together. So I thought, well, why not? Let's give it a try. Let's see how they come out. So I'm going to start here with that lightest color, again, which on this one I'm pretty sure is the Fresh Pear. We're going to ink this up, and this will be, again, our base layer, kind of our main layer to build up from. Okay, so there we have our green. I'm going to clean that green ink off, and then I'm going to come in with, once that dries just a little bit of Slumber, and we're going to do the same as the last time. I'm going to ink that up, kind of go over the whole thing, and then come in with my damp cloth. And again, I'm just using a baby wipe here. You could use a paper towel that you dampened, or a stamp chamois or anything else. All right, I'm kind of excited to see. Oh, I already love how that's coming out. Okay, then we'll see what happens when we add the purple over the top. I love this technique, and just for the fun look you can get to a stamp image like this, that it just gives more of a three-dimensional look to it. Okay. I didn't want to stamp it on when that was wet, so there we go. We can add, let's do a little layer of lavender. Again, I'm going to find kind of a clean spot there, clean it off a bit. Let's stamp over that. And doing it random like that just gives such a, oh, fun. All right, now I want to wait and see, because again, with these dye inks, when that sinks into the paper, it's going to soften and give a softer, prettier look too. So I'm kind of excited now to see how that's going to turn out when it's all done. So we'll set that one aside and let that dry. So here's our two color combos. Kind of curious to see what everyone's favorite color combo is. Let me lay them back out again so you can see all the names on there. So it's really fun just to play with your colors. You don't even have to do three. I don't know, even on this one, just before we added the purple, the green and the blue together, that alone was super duper fun. So, and I can already see the colors kind of softening out and smoothing out, so you can kind of see how that's going to look as it dries. Super fun. You could do this in wintry blue colors. You could do it in spring pinks and purples and kind of mix and match lots of different ideas. So that would be a fun one to play with. And with the stamp just lined up there in the Misty, you could just stamp out a whole bunch of these in all the different colors. So, all right, now let's go ahead and come over. Now that we're done with that, let's take this stamp off. And let's go ahead and come in with our sentiments on this. And then I'm going to show you a fun trick for adding that bow on there. I don't know if you struggle with bows. Sometimes I feel like I do. And so I like different ideas for things to... All right, let's see. Let's mix and match our sentiments. Let's do thank you on this one. And let's go ahead and stick with the hello friend over here. I love just seeing what everyone's favorite colors are. I tend to bounce around to all kinds of different color combos, and so I'm always excited to hear what other people like best. All right, gonna stamp this in our beautiful detail black ink. I'm gonna just lightly ink that up, softly. These ink pads, the detail black is super juicy, so you don't want to overuse it or over smush it, because you'll just end up with extra ink on your ink pad there. All right, and then while I've got this on here, I'm going to go ahead and do that hello friend. I'm going to add on that little I miss you sentiment. Stamp that in that same detail black there. All right, now we'll set that one aside and let it dry a little more, and we'll come in with this one and add our thank you sentiment on here. Okay, so our thank you. One trick on a lot of these, I always try and look, once I get it on there, I try and look and make sure use that grid on the Misty to make sure you're as square and even as you want. A crooked sentiment is just never fun. Okay, I love that thank you too. That scripty sentiments on these are so super duper fun. I see a couple more people joining us. Hi, Catherine. So glad you could join us. And hi, Michigander in Texas. Yes, Greta, I like these sentiments. All right, I'm gonna add on thank you for caring on this. Okay. Try to get that as even as I get up, and then I got it on my fingers. Okay. One other little trick, you can either lick your fingers if you're not worried about germs, or I have a little bowl of water I keep handy for watercolor. And if you get that on your fingers, it helps keep those stamps from sticking to your fingers, those little detail ones, when you're trying to get them pushed into just the right place like that. So I use that quite a bit. Okay. I didn't quite get the back of that inked up there, so I just want the back of that G. That's why I love using a Misty, because when you mess up a little bit, it makes it super easy to fill it in and fix it, so no harm done. All right, get all my stamps put away. Pull this off. Now I'm going to show you my little trick for super simple bows. Yeah, I don't know, my fingers, they just get sticky, and there's something so frustrating with those little tiny sentiments. All right, so I don't know if you can kind of see this bow on here. This is one of my favorite ways to just add a pinpoint when you know the exact spot you want your bow to be, and you want to be able to kind of hold it in place and just kind of have a perfect bow. I use, let's see now, there it is. You can use, this is a small hole puncher, you can use a bigger one. Or you can do this one a couple times, or if you don't have a hole punch, you can just use like a paper piercer and put a couple holes in there. And I'll show you what I mean. you pick the spot you want your bow to be. Let's say right here on this one. And you can kind of see that hole there. And I'm actually going to do 2 little holes side by side, so it's just a tiny, tiny bit bigger. And then I'm going to pull off just a little short chunk of this ribbon. And it's going to go up from the back and then back down through. And I'm starting off this way because what this is going to allow me to do is leave a loop here. So you can see I've got a nice little loop there. And I'm going to pull off some of this twine, and I'm just going to wind it about 3 times here around my fingers. So I've kind of made just kind of a loopy bow with my fingers if I pinch it in the middle. I'm going to feed that through that little loop and then grab it from the back, pull the loop tight. And as I pull it tight, see how it pinches it right together there where my bow is? And I can turn it over to the back and just quickly tie it in a knot. It's going to pinch that down and hold it nice and firm. Then I'll trim a little of my extra off. Grab a little tape just to make sure this doesn't pop out or anything, because my hole might be big enough. So just tape it down to make sure it stays where I want it. Now I can turn this over. I can pull on my bow, and I didn't loop around as much as I thought I did on this one. I only did 2 loops around my finger, so this one won't be quite as full a bow as the other one. But now when I kind of pull it and wind it around where I want it, it gives me a little wiggle room to kind of adjust that exactly how I want it. So that's just got 2 loops. This one here has the 3 loops. So let's do the same bow on here and add 3 loops for fun. Or 4 loops, I'm sorry. Wanted to make it a little bit different. So this is just kind of an accidental discovery I made a while ago, and it was such a fun, easy way to add a bow, especially if a bow is something you struggle with adding, which I think we all do at one time or another. It really works best with the thin twines like this and things. So, but yeah, you can do it with ribbon. I haven't done it as much with ribbon. I use it more often for twine like this, and you can make the bow as wide or as narrow as you want. Let's go, I'm gonna go that whole extra and make this one a little more of a full bow. And sometimes I trim these a little bit long because you can always come back and trim them down afterwards. But it's so nice and adjustable as well. So see, you can already see how much more full this bow is going to be. And then come around to the back, tie that knot. And then again, tape it in place. That's just kind of, I don't know. It might stay in place otherwise, but I'm always worried that my hole is too big and that it'll pop off the front, which would kind of undo the purpose of it. And then there you go. And now we can, now that this one's so nice and full, I can totally spin that out and pull them around. You can kind of adjust the bow if you didn't get it even enough where you want it. Trim off a little bit extra. So there's a couple different ways. And again, Jackie, so that's why I tape it on the back. That's just Scotch tape. I tape that just so that I know it won't. And if you really want to play it safe, because you can still pull this both ways through. So a lot of times I'll kind of pop it up and just put like a little dot of liquid glue kind of behind it. And once that dries, it's going to hold it really firm and sturdy. So that's another little trick too, if you want to kind of make sure it's not going to move super easy. But there you go. That's just kind of my fun little bow tip for you today. All right, and then I already have a card base created for this card. I didn't have this color combo nailed down in my head, but give me just a second here. I think I actually have a card base that'll work good for that. Let's see if my color will work like I'm thinking. Yeah, we'll do that color. Then I can finish both of these off. Excuse me while I create a card base to match that. Okay. Then we can tear these down and add just some crystals, not jewels, crystals over the top to finish off the embellishing on these. And I'm gonna you can do this either way, but I went ahead and used foam tape to adhere these down just because the little bit of dimension is kind of cool and fun. Unfortunately, I have more tape ready to go because I knew I was getting low. So this would also be a good opportunity if you had enough prepared to use fun foam to adhere these down, because you know that you'll have a good solid base for all of it. But right now, a sad roll. Yep, I used up that one. You know what though? I go through so much foam tape that I know I see people with those really big rolls of foam tape, and sometimes I think I should get one, but my question is always, where do you store it? Where do you put it? And how do you use that when you're in the middle of making a card and it takes you know, your whole desk just to pull your foam adhesive out? So I figure I'll do just pay a little more for the smaller roll, but the convenience of it. So, and yeah, this is 1-inch foam adhesive tape. I buy it off of Amazon just for, because I like the wider width for stuff like this. Ah, see, okay, Leah has the big roll and keeps it in her cart. I don't know, I guess I like putting it on there and cutting it, so I feel like it would be awkward, but maybe it wouldn't. Maybe I should just spring for it one of these times, and maybe I'll find I love it. You never know. Alrighty. I think we're going to do purple crystals on this one. Glad I'm not the only one that finds that kind of hard to imagine. I see a couple other people commenting that they have the large one and don't know where to put it. All right. Just going to kind of sprinkle a few of these on here. For this, I just used the small and the medium on these cards. Okay, so we're going to add the purple onto that one, just because I think that color accents it the most. Okay, they are really wanting to stick to me today. And then we're going to pop the orange over on this other one. I love how these kind of blend out and pick up whatever color you're using on your project, so it kind of accents what you're already putting on there. All right, one more there. 2 more little bitties. Okay. Well, those ones didn't stick as bad. Okay. That's true. I guess the big roll is going to keep getting smaller, not bigger. So that is a good point. I need something I kind of fail to look ahead to. I always think it's going to just stay so huge. Okay. I've got my little jewel picker here, and I like to use glossy accents to pop these on with, just because I feel like once it dries, it adds to the sparkle because it's got a glossy finish. And as long as you're careful, so, you know, don't do that, so it doesn't show from behind, you'll never even know that it was back there. So when you first put these on with that glossy, you can see the adhesive through. It kind of dulls the shine down a little. But once that dries, it's going to come back and look super duper sparkly. All right, finish off with this one here. And I love how even with the pointy tip on these, I can still use my little jewel picker. It's kind of my favorite tool for adding bling. Makes it so much quicker. All right. So there we go. Have both cards finished, 2 sentiments, a mix of color combos, and a couple different thicknesses of the bows. So this one was the two wraparounds, this one's 4 loops, and then the original had 3 on this one too. So lots of different options for those little bows as well. And super fun to stamp out that wreath with some variegating colors as well. All right. Oh, I think I'm winding down here, Kathy, but we'll be back live on Thursday on the Facebook page. And I'll be using the new Stamping Village stamp set. I wonder if I have that one. I don't know where I have that one sitting right now. I'd pull it out and give you a peek, but I didn't plan ahead enough to have it ready here. So I'm going to be using the Stamping Village set that's just released and will be shipping later this week. So we'll be back doing that. And there's also going to be a YouTube hop with that on Friday that you're not going to want to miss as well. So thank you everybody for joining me today. Let's give Leah a minute here to pick out winners for today. I can see my thing froze. Let me see if I can pop that back open again. I lost all my comments and everything, so I'm going to wait and make sure I have a comment from Leah with the winner before I move on here. I don't know why it's not loading. All right. Technical difficulties on my tablet. I don't know why I lost my Wi-Fi connection, but I did. So let me see if I can look on my phone here, and I can't see that either. All right, well, I'm going to give it just a minute here. I can't see anyone's comments, so if you're commenting, I do apologize. And I'm hoping Leah left a winner here, so I'm just going to give it a few more seconds for her to post that on there. And then I'm going to say goodbye, even though you probably can't. Oh, okay, I see a message. Leah posted a winner, so I don't know why it froze and I can't see it and everything, but goodbye, everybody. Thanks for joining me today, and have a wonderful rest of your day. See you soon. Bye-bye.